Indeed, I mean, it looks like we're jumping into game number 1 here between DauT and DeMusliM. In blue is gonna be DauT, and in red, DeMusliM in control of the Abbasid dynasty.
Let's freaking go to a Lipany that doesn't look like it's trying to pretend to be a different map, courtesy of Bidlin fixing the mistakes that were made almost a year ago.
Indeed, a much more esports ready, much more competitive ready Lipany generation that we have over here. Just look at those juicy relic spawns. Look at how nice those cliffs are. It's not like you have to get through Mount Everest, but it's also not like you're in the middle of nowhere. It is a nice mix of the generations that we had before with Lipany. Much more consistent, much more reliable, and much more ready to be implemented into the largest Age of Empires 4 tournament. In fact, the largest Age of Empires tournament ever.
Well, let's see if DauT is ready to be initiated into the largest Age of Empires 4 tournament ever. He's already qualified for AOE2, but AOE4 isn't going to be that easy to get into. Already finding himself up against DeMusliM, a qualified player, rather, and a heavy contesting to his chances of qualifying himself in the round of 32. I mean, DauT, you know, we talk about him as a very talented player, very established player, but I've got to say, meta tweaks are required. I've been watching this guy on the ladders. It has not been looking easy. And the DauT that I'm seeing right now, probably not the same one I watched a week ago because he's quick to evolve. But that's the key, I think, for him. He has to evolve. And I think 37 years of age, still competing at the highest level, he knows one or two things about doing exactly that.
Yeah, exactly. I think he has been playing competitive Age of Empires since 1999. If there is a single person who is exceptional when it comes to adapting to new meta or just catching up with the meta and really just having that competitive mindset, it is him. He has been doing this for essentially the larger part of his life. So for him, really learning the new things is not a challenge. In fact, it's part of his job. It's part of his life. This is what he has been doing for almost 20 years now. In fact, more than 20 years.
Yeah, part of the greatest generation. Fought on the beaches of Normandy for us. Their hard work. Oh, wait, no, that's... Okay, in esports years, technically. But, of course, you know, he's been around a while. And the reason I think it's important to highlight that isn't because lol, boomer. It's more, it gives you this kind of wisdom bank that maybe isn't there for someone beginning. It kind of gives you this different perspective. And the intriguing part to me is for a player to compete this long at the highest level in multiple esports. If you're able to pull that off, what it shows is that you not only have that wisdom bank, but you also have an evolution to it, right? Like some people eventually evolve because they become stubborn, they become hard stuck. Think about like a perfect example in the programming world, right? Like software development evolves so much after 5 years. Like I think there's a good quote from Mark Wahlberg that a programmer has a half-life about 6 years or something. And the logic there is that over those years, you build up bad habits, and it's hard to unlearn them. And those bad habits can lead to easy losses, and that snowball effect can easily set you behind as a pro player.
Interesting point out here brought up by you, indeed. Let's see how DauT does in this matchup against DeMusliM. One of the things to look at here, I feel, in this matchup is that the meta, as you pointed out, has shifted more and more towards this feudal age style play. And right now, greedy players are often rewarded in the current meta of the game as well. And DauT is one of the best players when it comes to identifying when he can be greedy and when he can not afford to be greedy and when he has to keep making armies. So in this greedy meta, DauT's playstyle is actually something that fits into it very well, and it could easily be something that comes out as a massive strength for him rather than a weakness.
I think he's also been losing in catastrophic ways that like quickly change your perspective on how to play. Now, it sounds weird to say, but let me explain it. Like, I watched him just a week ago playing a matchup against Marine Lord on the ladders. In that matchup, he played French, and he kept spamming knights, and Marine Lord's like, okay, I'll keep spamming spears. The entire game was DauT spamming knights and Marine Lord spamming spears. It's quite easy to see who's going to win that, like, long term, right? But, like, it seems obvious, but taking, like, whippings like that quickly makes you go, okay, like, it's obvious, but clearly what that tells you is, like, one unit comps don't even work anymore, even ones that used to work all the time, right? If you think about release, everyone's like, French OP, knights nerf, please. Well, if that doesn't work, it completely kind of changes the way you have to approach any type of one unit comp. It makes you evolve your meta, and I think healthy ratioed compositions are really important in the current meta, especially considering how long feudal usually is.
Exactly. Like, the thing here is you can't play a single type of unit. This is actually probably the biggest difference between AOE2 and AOE4. In AOE2, especially the early game, you can play with one type of unit. That is, for example, scouts in AOE2, You can use your cavalry mobility raid around. At some point, you're going to have to start adding some other types of units. But in AoE2, you're much less reliant on unit compositions than you are in AoE4. In AoE4, it's almost mandatory to have 2 different types of units by like minute 7 or 8. And it is probably the biggest difference and probably the biggest jump of a mindset that one player has to make when transitioning from a game like AoE2 to AoE4.
And the reason why I highlighted that Marine Lord French matchup with DauT isn't because I wanted to inflate Marine Lord's ego, it's to teach an important lesson, which is you can't just do that one punch, especially against this Civ. The Abbasids would love for you to just push knights. It would just be camels plus spears, easy clap, they win. So I do want to see DauT make that transition. I actually think a healthy composition is starting to come out from the French. He's like double TC into free unit type plays. But even then, keep in mind, you are probably playing against the hardest Civ to clash with right now. I think the Abbasids are up at close to a 60% win rate at the highest level of play up against the French.
Exactly, it's a duality of many things. In fact, it's actually a combination of more than just 2. It's not just a duality, it's more like a trinity of things. It's the massive eco that the Abbasids can field, something that can easily match the French economy, plus the stellar unit composition that they have to deal with the French in feudal. It's very difficult for French to find a window early game where they can be effective against the Abbasids. So their best option really is to try to drag this out late game. But then again, Abbasids, they increase their win rate beyond the 20-minute mark up to the skies. It goes to something like 71% or so, an unreal number on the ladder.
The tough part is what happens in the mid-map, in the mid-game, right? So both Civs will have a reason to play aggressively into the mid. For the Abbasids, it's all about grabbing those berries, delaying your farm timing. For the French, it's going to be about the gold veins. That's a difficult detail that I'm looking towards for DauT to resolve. One thing I want him to kind of carve up... Wait, what? Did he just...
Yep.
Wait, no way the scout lives. Oh, God, he's going to live. Come on. All right, that was star points right
Hashtag
there.
value.
But really important thing to highlight here for DauT, like he needs to secure the southern corner of the map because there's big gold stacks down here. Longevity will be acquired through consolidating forces around here, and it's a very wallable area. If he leaves it open though, I think DeMusliM's going to eventually reach castle and make him uncomfortable at a stage where he needs all that gold.
Speaking of uncomfortable though, look at that. DauT is going to beat his opponent to the second TC here because those knights, they made the life of DeMusliM rather difficult. DeMusliM floating almost 500 stone, yet to drop the second town center because he had to respond so much to those knights.
And the reason is quite simple. When you look at it on the minimap and then look on the screen, look how far away that stone was from the TC. DeMusliM couldn't defend this. It's very frustrating. He's up at 7 spears, yet he still got sniped. He still got delayed. And this is the impact of these type of generations. Great identification by DauT. And I think he's actually read this right. He's going into a few archers now. Love this idea of midfield aggression and trying to maybe play into a hard feudal ram timing because it could easily catch DeMusliM off guard.
Exactly, like you delayed the second town center, that's the first piece of the equation. You also have your own second TC, so now you can start thinking about being a little bit more aggressive. It looks like he gets away with a knight. 10 HP left on that bad boy. That's a critical thing here. He can't afford to be losing the knights in here.
It's okay, just go park him in Stealth Forest in the corner and Chivalry will eventually be researched. And then 10 minutes from now, you remember you got a knight. That's definitely not what I do when I play.
I think he's going to keep track of that. He's not just going to hide it and then forget about it for 20 minutes. But as you said, a hard pivot into archers could be a thing here for DauT, especially because DeMusliM doesn't have a lot of horsemen to deal with that yet. But he's going to start adding those, and this is where that archer plus knight unit composition for DauT is going to be inferior to what DeMusliM is fielding, which is horseman spearman. You really get the feel that here, if you're DauT, you have to add spears because you have to force DeMusliM to invest into his own ranges himself.
I like how you said it doesn't have a lot of horsemen, and just to make sure you were correct, DeMusliM's first horseman came out at that moment. Oh, chef's kissing that detail. But I think you're right about the spearman play, mainly because DauT needs to like a prep aggression because of this. It's a free TC boom out of DeMusliM. This needs to be punished. Lytical, what do you do when you see an Abbasid player build 3 TCs in your game?
I build a 4th one.
When you're not playing Abbasids though, you filthy Abbasid spammer.
I build a 4th one, same thing. Like, and don't you worry, that's DauT's mindset as well. Like, he loves to play greedy, but this time around in this game, you see, it's probably more realistic for him to just play aggro.
Yes. He's displaying to us why he wins more games than we do. We do not go extra TCs as the French. We say, you're not going castle, you're not getting the true counters out. That means I have a strong point timing. I would love to see DauT prep the siege engineering. He's already going in for the piercing arrows upgrade to increase his damage to his archers. Next step should be rams. Is a little bit pricey to enter at first, but quick to access. And considering he's on 2 TCs, his eco is inflating quick enough. Even more so, the lead is building because of these easy picks on the secondary TC that DeMuslim's not defending.
And it's painful for DeMusliM because you see his third TC is just now finishing and he doesn't have access to the berries. He's desperately in the need of that food source, the deer. So chipping away some damage here for DauT on the deer is actually massively valuable because you can really limit DeMuslim's access to food. And at this point, you want to delay the Abyssal player because, as you said, DauT is prepping aggression over here. He just needs to ensure that he slows down DeMuslim's expansion when it comes to army.
And a sticking detail on this map is how bad the generation's ending up for DeMusliM. Like, this is poo-poo on a pogo stick. Why? Because every time I try to throw it away, it comes back and splats me in the face. Look at where he had to go for his TC. He secures his safe wood line, but nothing else. South side, all open ground, great for French Knights. North side, he's got condensed berries and deer. This can be a good thing, but not when your opponent goes aggressive like this. It just means that DauT can park himself in one location, and as you already mentioned, all his berries, block him out of everything he needs.
Siege engineering just now coming in for DauT, so indeed he wants to amp up the pressure, and the target is likely going to be that northern TC, where essentially all the food DeMusliM has is located around. Look at that. Not just the first patch of the deer, the second patch as well. If you take that TC down, you could easily starve DeMusliM out rather fast.
Yeah, and the deer on that TC are keeping him alive, but guaranteed DauT is targeting that as a location to go in. And I feel like the numbers are increasing quick enough. First ram comes out, and this is going to fight force a fight rather quicker than DeMusliM wants. Look at the count. It's 8 knights versus 6 horsemen, 17 spearmen, sure, but like you can be microed out. I'm a little bit concerned that DeMuslim's army isn't big enough for a hold on this secondary TC if DauT micros correctly.
Exactly, and look at that.
That's a good start.
That's painful. It's very painful. You need every single horseman you can have against the archers. You do have phalanx on the spearman, but that's gonna be completely worthless if the archer just out-micro you. And you really get the feel that the horseman numbers are lacking for DeMusliM. Just now dropping a second stable. There is still a window of opportunity here for DauT, though. 26 army against 27, but army value massively on his side.
He has to buy time here as well, Lidicor. Like, keep in mind that the berries are being exploited to the north side by DeMusliM. So if he doesn't actually draw attention under this TC and DauT goes scouting, that could be the end of DeMusliM.
He spots the ram, so he knows what's coming, but he's gonna be forced to fight over here very soon. Spearman actually kind of disconnected from the horseman here. DeMusliM needs to regroup.
Okay. So this should be an important detail for DauT. He should be moving in, saying there's no villagers working here. So he's getting food somewhere else. Wouldn't be surprised if he peels off some knights, but first of all, you want to eliminate that TC. You want to punish him for this. In the meantime, archers go in, some freebies onto the tree line. Keep in mind that this is the only wood that DeMusliM has access to right now. In fact, DeMusliM, his game's getting even more dangerous. Not only is he playing the northern berries, now he's playing the western corner as well, and that is scouted out by DauT.
Yeah, DauT could easily punish these pieces of expansion, but DeMusliM is looking to take a decisive fight. And look at that, this knight with 10 HP, no chivalry, could actually do some damage, but the horseman will deal with that.
How many horsemen is that? Like, you know, just stab him until he's dead. Oh, yeah, he's definitely dead. No, just stab him again, make sure. How do you know when a man is dead? When he looks like Swiss cheese.
Eco count is dead even. DeMusliM just decided to forfeit that northern town center out there, but DauT is not really punishing these pieces of expansion just yet.
What? Now, I think like he's so paranoid about losing the archers that he's kind of missed the point. Because now we're at a stage where even if you fight, you probably lose the archers. It feels like he's waited too long, right?
Yeah, critical mass is building up for DeMusliM, and look at that. 34 spears. Those have phalanx as well, and you can't micro backwards endlessly.
And keep in mind, like, the reason why that's so important is when you have phalanx spears, you know, like, if you say you've got equal number archer spears, like, sure, archers still win. But if you have, like, more spearmen, that bonus damage the archers have kind of gets offset by the fact that double the amount of melee units are attacking compared to any other civ. They reach over the top of the other. It means that you're actually doing more damage to an archer than he's probably doing in return. It's really frustrating to deal with.
And look at that, 18 horsemen. That is the critical detail here, not even the spearmen. It's the horsemen. Look at that. TC actually survived. It was repaired.
And do you know what? Want to know why this is so disgusting? With that many horsemen, he can body block. And that body block will let the melee mosh pit go underway. And these knights right now peeling around the side, mistakes made. Off point from the micro, and DauT about to get overwhelmed. There's the pinch we're talking about. Comes around the backside, encircles him fully. Archibald is about to be bawling its eyes out with tears. And the knight's not long behind them. The entire army that DauT has built is about to be wiped. And DeMusliM still will have 30+ military pop cap in the field.
It's an absolute massacre, KP, just slaying all the army that DauT has had. DeMusliM playing with patience here, waiting and waiting and waiting until he gets the critical mass, and then unleashes hell with the Abbasid Spearman Horseman. DauT is running backwards with what he has remaining, only 6 military on the field, and now DeMusliM, he can turn on the aggression, he can start adding the rams, and you get the feel that the momentum is massive here for the Abbasid player, so much so that DauT taps out. Decisive win in game number 1 for DeMusliM.
We talked about going for those food sources, delay going into farms, but you know what? Because he didn't build farms, he went plowing somewhere else, plowing straight into DauT with fierce potency to this combo. The Spearman Horseman mass balling up to this stage, DauT probably shouldn't have let this happen. Like, DauT scouted that it was Pocket Ecos playing, and that's how DeMusliM got there. Kind of surprised that DauT got baited into this, but once he did, it looked sleepy go bye-bye time. Like, DeMusliM, credit to him, the patience shown to actually reach critical mass, and the timing on this strike. He waited for DauT to maneuver north out of position, and then encircles him, knowing the... Benny boy, going to be home representing here as he takes to Dry Arabia with the English. DauT with the Mongols is going to need a miracle. This matchup can be difficult. A lot of the key timings you're looking towards get shut down. First thing I'm thinking already, Lidicor, will DauT go for the early pressure, and will he do it with the stables?
That's a good question indeed. You don't really want to be teching into the Spearman here in this matchup with the Mongols, because you know that the English player is going to have longbows at some point, so you probably prefer the horseman pressure, and that could be interesting to take a look at, especially given the fact that the English don't even have spears in Dark Age, so horseman plus Tower Rush might actually be a realistic option here for DauT. It remains to be seen how aggressive he wants to play this though, because it is match point for DeMusliM. You really get the feel that DauT may not want to necessarily risk going for Tower Rush and possibly just throwing the game at minute number 3 in a position where his opponent is at match point.
You know, some people just getting fed up with that, right? We saw with Winchester earlier, it was like, screw it, it's done. Right, maybe we kind of get that experience out of DauT, we'll have to see. But let's not write him off, right? With a good generation and the correct configuration, there are ways to trounce the English. Keep in mind, though, you're up against one of the players that understands this matchup inside and out best because he spams the English so much in the past. He has a good read on this, so I think scouting is going to be very important to both sides. Notice that right now, neither of them has gone for a secondary scout. I would expect DauT to get the access to this because if you are going to build a military build to start with, it needs to be either an archery range or that stables.
Suboptimal start over here for DauT. Look at that. There could have been a prime spot for a TC next to the other forest. DauT decided to place it elsewhere, probably because he didn't have eyes on the second forest. But if you just look at the big picture right now, his town center is not the best. Once again, it's not necessarily his fault even. Maybe he just didn't see that spot at the beginning. It wasn't scouted.
Yeah.
But if you look at the big picture right now, his town center is underwhelming at best. It only covers one resource. He has to build the pastures very far away, close to the Ovu. Gold mine is going to be far out. And especially against the English, this could be a very great source of vulnerability.
I mean, and talking about underwhelming, look what his first military unit is. It's a sheep. You know, it's not really the most scary of things. It's not really going to put any pressure on DeMusliM, and I think that's a mistake here. I think Ben is one of the better players at actually unlocking Castle if you can get it. And if you turn this into a tech-up race, I think you're going to come out behind, especially because of those details you mentioned. I think what makes it even more brutal is, like, it's not just the gold. Every detail about that west wood line is better, right? Like, kind of feels a bit more defendable because the forward wood beyond that. You've got the berry patch just as close by. You've got the deer on the left side near some choke points as well. Like, man, this hurts to look at. Like, everyone's been in this situation at some point where you just didn't have the vision and you look like you need to go to an optician's because you missed the pristine spawn for a very subpar one.
And DeMusliM is yet to find out that that's the case. You see, he sees the Ovu. More importantly, he sees the two pastures, so he knows that aggression is not going to be something that DauT works with, at least not at the beginning of the game. And this could easily open up the option for him to be the aggressor, and that's a great opportunity in a position where his opponent's base is not spectacular by any means.
And DauT will want an outpost on this Uvu. If he does not outpost this Uvu, I've seen this happen to Mongol players before. Like, it's almost just feels like you're being BM'd. They'll just come in and they'll snipe all your sheep. And you know, at that point, like, honestly, that's the stage where I think more players should be inclined to all chat type, and we should be able to see it as a spectator, need that functionality, because you could just mock them. Their game is basically over. If they drop double pasture and can't get the sheep back, they have no recovery.
Exactly. That's the key thing here. And the English, they are really good with this very aggro plays in Feudal Age. We have seen a decline in the use of that, mainly because the players have gotten so good at just turtling up and then building off a better eco, possibly. But in scenarios like this, the English can easily be playing a very aggressive Feudal Age, tower forward longbow play, simply because the amount of exposed resources you have is massive. So even just a handful of longbows in the forward tower already pays for its price.
Yeah, that's the point, right? If you don't build outposts here, like, how do you defend any of your base? In fact, if we just do like a kind of 360 rotation around the TC, but not on the TC, and look at all the resources that are exposed. We've got the stone here. We've got the gold next to it. You know, to the northeast, we've got the berries, which, you know, are just about reachable, but against longbows, you'll get sniped. Go north beyond that, you can try to go for deer, but uh-oh, that looks spooky as well. Like, how are you guarding any of this? I think DauT's issue now is he needs static defenses to slow down the English, because if you try to get into a military war with these horsemen, you just let DeMusliM get feudal for free, which means that he's going to have hardened spearmen to combat you.
And it looks like DeMusliM is thinking about quite a lot of aggression over here. Council Hall going up just now, dropping a barracks right next to it. We could see the appearance of the good old-fashioned combo of spearmen plus longbows. And that is the right move here for DeMusliM. He might not want to invest too much into it, but a bit of an investment doesn't hurt because he sees how bad DauT's base is. And DauT yet to spot either of those buildings. Obviously, you can predict the Council Hall, but he's yet to find out that spearmen are already being added. And he himself going for horsemen, that could be a source of concern.
And DeMusliM got like a nice balance on his start, right? He's actually going to be the aggressor, but he's already set up scalability in his economy. He's got 5 farms online that will continue to boost up in the coming minutes. And it means that over time, he should be able to unlock castle. Meanwhile, DauT got forced to go to a delayed stable, I'd say, actually. Like, he didn't get it at the beginning of Dark Age. It's when he arrives in Feudal. That means he's going to be paying a premium to get his defensive unit of horsemen out. And that's going to slow down his own scalability in this game.
Exactly. He's just now queuing up the first double horseman out there. And this is something that's going to be spotted by DeMusliM right away. Keep in mind, English getting the hardened spearman upgrade for free also means that DeMusliM doesn't have to spend barracks time on that, so he can just focus on spearman production non-stop. And he's already going to have the units out there to deal with the horsemen of DauT.
Scout. It's going to be a little bit of a pickle, but reinforcements have arrived, and just one spearman. It's spooky enough. DauT, remember, hasn't got the upgrade to normie horseman yet, so he can't take the fight with early horses. But that's going to buy time for DeMusliM to send out more spears. You can see he's already produced 3, and as more arrive, all of a sudden DauT needs archers. He needs them fast as well, because he's just been denied a lot of equity here. Not just the stables will be irrelevant at this rate, it's also the pastures that are still in the front line.
Here's the problem. If you want to go archers with the Mongols, you want to do so with the double training, but that's not something he can do because the OVU is being denied. And look at that, aggressive forward tower.
Okay, DeMuslim's going to get the 4th tower, but he doesn't snipe out the sheep. He needs to be targeting them down. I think that's a missed opportunity because DauT's getting more lifeline than he deserves here.
And look at that, I love the move from DeMusliM. He sees that the horsemen are trying to cut off the reinforcements, rallies his forces back to his base, just to make sure that not a single unit is isolated and he's always fighting in small groups rather than with individual units.
And I love the palings drop as well. Just making sure that he can't be harassed where he's on the Uvu already as he builds up the outpost. He forces the stable to be packed up. The reason is that choke point was preventing the horsemen from wrapping in and protecting the villages. Everything's been packed up and moved back. I think DauT made the right choice here because the issue that happens is the next 2 minutes, DeMusliM gets enough troops together that he can actually trap the pastures and other buildings when you pack them up. So you can't wait.
Exactly, and look at that, second DC now coming up here for DeMusliM. He's working towards the stone out there. DauT might spot this with the horsemen he has, but he's still busy intercepting reinforcements. Actually, he's going in for the raid now.
I like what he's doing here. Like, DauT's like, this is a lost fight. I can't fight it. I need value elsewhere. And he's not just getting the value of harassing and idling eco. He's also spotting out the next move. Great maneuver by DauT, but now I need to see a way to react to this secondary TC.
Exactly, and the problem is he doesn't really have the tools to do so with. He's adding archers, but he's doing so one by one, and this is going to slow him down so much more.
Man, you know the tough part is, like, if you had this type of situation, like, I think most Mongol players would say you're okay to go Magadai if you weren't up against the English. Like, that could maybe recover, right? You could punish, like, a spread eco, but I think this is the worst Civ to try and build Magadai against. So one of the few options that can maybe dig DauT out isn't available in this matchup.
Oh, he's going to lose the Gur
Oh my
here.
God,
Pulling
it's gonna go
villagers for
down.
repairs.
Oh, 1 HP.
He needs to deploy
No
it.
Timmy in his hammer.
No, no, no.
Beautifully done.
He needs to deploy
Wait,
it.
Yeah, he does. He does. He needs to deploy it because there's a bug, right, that slows down the
Yep.
repair rates.
And the problem is that if
God.
the repair is slower, it's going to consume a lot of wood. Look at the wood count that DauT has. Look at it trickle down and barely healing any HP. He needs to deploy it.
Why are you running? Why are you running? We're trying to help you. Oh, DauT, no, I don't think he knows. And
Yeah,
this
he
is the
probably
experience
doesn't.
we were talking about, right? From making these mistakes, how you learn them over time. He doesn't realize it, so he pulls a second villager.
Oh, it's so bad. Look at his wood count drop. And he's trying to switch into archers. It's going to hurt him so much. He might not even realize because he's focusing on his horseman. Oh, that's just pure sadness.
I mean, if you think about it from a realistic standpoint, Lytical, this makes a lot of sense. Like, if something's on fire and you try to use wood to fix it, like, you kind of deserve this. It doesn't actually make sense.
Oh, this is looking so unhealthy for him right now. Second TC now already on the way for DeMusliM, and the concern for DauT is that he's being cut off from gold. So Castle Age is just a distant dream. You see, he's stacking up food, but he can't do much with it.
I'm trying to, like, work out the maths on, like, at this rate, by the time he gets it out of being on fire, would he have spent enough wood to build a Gur?
Yeah, I think he already spent that much.
Lombos, baiting him in. I mean, you have to take fights. Like, this is rough right now. DauT, you can see he's trying to save up for a tech up, but he's playing a dangerous game. He's on the gold on the north side. Not with that Gur, with a different one he had to build up. He is getting the resources slowly, but I'm worried that he's going to be forced to reinvest his food at this rate. And remember that he's not getting great regeneration rates on those pastures due to the fact they're not near a Nuvu.
Exactly. In fact, he's not getting any use of his stone right now. He's sitting at 500 stone, but he's not using it anything. No double training on the horsemen or the archers, so he's lacking numbers. And in this early game, the Mongols have to win with numbers because the quality is going to be on the side of the English player with the network of castles. So you really get the feel that he needs to find a way to get those buildings close to Novu, but that's a distant dream. Look at the stone spots. Every single stone outcropping out there in the middle of nowhere denied by DeMusliM.
Yeah, I mean, if you walk out to those areas, you shouldn't be worried about getting hailed by stone. You'll be hailed by arrow fire. I mean, 16 Lombos already for DeMusliM. It's so difficult. That attack speed aura is there as well. Another thing to consider, which blocks you out of your close by gold and stone. And DeMusliM, this is where it gets a bit more dangerous, a bit more frisky. This wraparound is threatening for the English both ways because it disconnects you from your reinforcements. Remember, one of the weaknesses of the English is how slowly they trickle out reinforcements to the field. But right now, he doesn't have to worry about that. Forces a bad fight out of DauT. DauT, you just heard the noise, has what he needs for a tech up, but now doesn't have a standing army.
And the moment he is thinking about going up to Castle Age, he's exposed to this aggression. So he needs to make a choice here. Is he reinvesting into army and just making sure it doesn't get overrun by feudal age units? Or is he going up to Castle?
And DeMuslim's moving up there. DeMusliM was already shifting that way, and DauT ambitiously goes for the tech up in the corner. He needs to bait. He needs to draw fire right now, or he could die in that corner.
Luckily for him, DeMusliM has no idea about the presence of that gold mine to the north, although he should know that DauT is possibly thinking about getting gold elsewhere. But the English slow-moving army, he's going to struggle to find it, and you see, DeMusliM, he doesn't have an extra scout. So DeMusliM is actually struggling with information, and this is giving a nice edge here for DauT to get something out of that gold mine.
Yeah, this is a really big deal with the English. If you snipe up the scouts, like, they don't invest in more, right? Like, they don't build stables in a lot of their builds. These type of builds are always racks and council hall. Now, downsides of what's happening for DauT. He'll get his tech up, but he needs to get his first units out. He will be aggressed straight away after that tech up completes. Also, DeMuslim's economy is so big, if he stops building for a minute, he'll have his own castle up, and that will be a free TC situation.
That's exactly it. This is what DeMusliM is waiting for. He sees the Castle Age timing of DauT. It also gives him a clue that DauT is getting gold elsewhere. So if you are DeMusliM, you probably void yourself up back at home to avoid counterattacks, and then you just work towards Castle Age, like he's doing right now. Picks off one.
Yeah, it's heavy damage on one or two others as well. He's whittling away at him. It's a 12 eco lead, and like that Castle Age we were just talking about, if he does go for the council hall, that's going to escalate him even quicker. So DeMusliM, he'll back up for the moment, realizing the counter's coming out. Stable access on the right side is double producing on the Lancers. However, those Lancers are still counted out by the Spearman. DeMusliM continues to push.
Yeah, that's the problem here for DauT. He finally finds a way to get some Lancers on the field, but that's just going to be a temporary solution. It might be something that slows down DeMusliM a little bit with some counterattacks, but more importantly, DeMusliM is going to spot them, so he knows what to expect. And with the eco he has, I could easily think about him going for his own Knights as well.
Yeah, and it's just frustrating. Like, even if you just get close to these longbows, because you can't assault them, you saw the damage that one Lancer took. Like, these are premium units. They're expensive this stage. Walls are also going up to prevent your raiding access, and just a few Spearmen may be able to hold you back. DeMusliM, less than 10 seconds, I'd say, away from having what he needs for a tech up. Armor Arrow is going to come out from DauT in the meantime. Baits him into an assault. The Spearmen are going to poke and prod at him, and the Lancers are in for a penny, in for a pound. Trade out comes out from the longbows to get rid of the archers. And one or two of the Lancers should be cleaned up because they've been more or less ignoring those spears. The archers can't finish it off, and it looks like it should still be a good trade for DeMusliM.
It's not just a good trade, it's a great trade, actually. Trying to yoink the con even.
The palings detail is so important here. DeMusliM is one of maybe 2 players I actually still see utilize this skill. It's funky, it's awkward to use, but if you find the right position, the right situation to do it in, it can really make the difference.
Spearman also a big difference maker in that fight, and ultimately DeMusliM gets cleaned up, but the value that he has gotten for those remaining longbows and Spearmen from Feudal Age was massive. Slowed down DauT to a point where he's gonna be able to reach his own Castle Age. Boom. And now it looks like he's just continuing with Spearmen for the time being.
Yeah, it's all you need, right? You're just seeing Lancers, that's it now. And oh, the woodline! DeMusliM chopped a bit too deep. Will be forced to garrison an idol, and 3 healthy Lancers are thirsty for blood right now. Everyone's going to garrison. A lot of garrison points here due to the free TC build. But DauT is circling, so DeMusliM needs to get the answer out quick. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him drop 1 or 2 more racks and maybe a few stables alongside it.
Yeah, he definitely needs more production buildings because it's going to be difficult to keep track of all those Lancers roaming his base, even with the walls up on the right side. He needs some more production because he's got the eco. 68 villagers on the field for him, working on those English farms. He just needs to convert those resources into army. Because behind this one, let's not forget, DauT is working towards the relics and he's slowly stabilizing, and that's what he wanted. If he can stabilize over here and drag this out to be a longer game, he's gonna have a realistic shot at coming back into this one.
And right now you'd be like, well, lol, what's wrong with DeMusliM? Like, is he getting too old? Has he forgotten that spears win? Just build more spears? The problem right now is he doesn't have the wood. He needs the wood to build the infrastructure, and he's spending a lot more wood still on farms and palisade defenses. So this is why it's a slow escalation. For the next 2 minutes, once the farms are fully unlocked, all that wood is freed up. That's when you'll see the spearman count surge forward. But at that point, DauT should have an answer, and I hope he does have an answer better than Lancers, because that alone will not win this fight.
How about a second town center? That is something that DauT is working towards, and he's also picking up relics to offset the eco difference. Indeed, second TC just now going down this time around, it's gonna be at an optimal position. And DauT is buying a lot of time for himself to catch up with the eco. Keep in mind, he also has a step redoubt, plus of course, possibly 3, maybe even 4 relics for him. That's going to offset quite a lot of the villager difference that there is right now.
It took almost 17 minutes for DauT to take the TC location you suggested, Lidicore. Does that make you 17 times better than DauT?
I don't think so.
You're very humble. But he does go back. I mean, like, that's the pain of when I look at that. It's like, damn, imagine if these TCs were the other way around, like the escalation. Credit to where it's due, right? DauT is recovering. He's doing a good job of it. But just imagine how much comfortabler he'd be in this game if he just started off with a TC on that left side.
Indeed. Still, ooh, look at that. You gotta be careful with the overchops because the Lancers are now roaming the map, and DeMusliM, he's walled on the right side, but lack of mobility is starting to haunt him more and more.
So many Lancers as well, up to 15. DeMusliM only now getting his first heavy cavalry unit. Now, if he delays this fight long enough, he'll have a lot more in the field. By 25 minutes, he should be able to outmass, but he needs to buy that time. And the problem is when you're up against this many Lancers, time will have to be brought with English peasants' blood.
Indeed, Spearman now joined the fight over here, saving the longbows. It was a couple of longbows trade for a couple of Lancers. DauT not paying attention.
Oh no! The attack speed buff is there as well. The Lancers get cleaned up so fast.
Oh, mistakes made out there by DauT. He wasn't paying attention. Losing 5 knights. Valuable knights they were. He's down to just 9. And you see his opponent, he's building up his numbers, trying to burn his way towards the right side. But those Lancers, they're going to be missing here for DauT. Those are big losses out there.
That stings. DauT, the reason why he didn't pull the Knights back, he was finding the next gold vein to move his step read out to. That's why it happened. You can see it on the minimap shifting now. So that glance away for just 5 seconds cost him so much. Like, he was seeking gold, and now after losing 6 Lancers, just think about the amount of gold he lost there. That's absurd.
Oh, it's just so much, right? And his opportunity to be the aggressor was also lost here with this. Because from now on, DeMusliM is walling himself up, and suddenly we are in a situation where DauT is no longer the one just running circles around the opponent's base, picking off villagers every once in a while. He's the one that's going to struggle to defend against this one, but might just go for the good old-fashioned DauT spice to this one, a third DC. Oh, he's using up the wood, actually.
I was confused for a second there. I mean, like the classic DauT spice. I'm like, he can't build castles playing as the Mongols did.
Oh, it's just
So I guess
bastards.
this is the closest he can get to one, right? Like a TC is kind of a castle, I guess. You know, if you didn't have any stone and good defenses, which is a bit worrying considering, you know how I said like it would take maybe close to 25 minutes for DauT to lead, like lose the military lead in cavalry. He already lost it. Like they're neck and neck now. So by 21 minutes max, DeMusliM's going to have the lead, and you're the Mongols. You don't have the privilege of walls, sir. Your base is very open.
What you can do is go for towers and place spring golden placements on them, and DauT is floating a lot of stones, so he definitely has the chance to do so. Could be sufficient to slow this push down with. Comes around with the flank on the longbows.
Spearmen are coming, though. They get the brace off with the Knights as well. It may be problematic for DauT to take the fight. Chased onto, second wave of Spearmen on the way. Longbows ready to trade out against the crossbows and the archers. And it looks like DeMusliM going to peel off a few troops to chase the villagers and burn them before the outposts come out. No Yam in this fight is problematic. DauT finally gets at the end, but it's too little too late. His army at risk of being wiped, and now DeMusliM in Plowtown Central. Knights and spears ready to torch down all of these fresh outposts.
Once again, the Spearmen coming in clutch over here, doing so much damage to those Knights out there for DauT. He wasn't able to focus them down, and the Spearmen pay for their price. DauT is down to just 4 Lancers, is working mostly with crossbows, something that's not going to be spectacular against those Spearmen, especially with longbow support.
No, the only upside for DauT right now is in the Battle of the Auras. He has his aura, but he needs his aura. It's 39 military pop cap to 13. You can't even argue that DauT has quality. DeMusliM have doubled the heavy cavalry count. Those heavy cavalry count, they're lethal right now. I'm pretty sure DauT did not go for textiles. And remember, he's spreading his eco out onto the deer, onto the secondary wood line, and onto the gold. Plenty of opportunities to pinch him, and no mass outpost to garrison you safely.
And he's lacking food. He's desperately lacking food. He's got the gold, but no food to make army. And now his gold mine's gonna be exposed. Villagers!
He ain't got no gold anymore. So many villagers. There's not enough room for all of you. And even the 5 inside are not gonna last long. Only 750 HP. The only way you protect them is if you react with an army of your own. But this army is looking pitiful. DauT is reacting. He's not taking the time to rebuild his forces. And as a result, it's a Congo line of death. And a Congo line straight to the victory podium for DeMusliM as he goes for the second point. He will beat DauT's ass out and move forward to the round of 16.
More convincing game in game number 2 from DauT than it was in game number 1, but you see the level difference is still there. DeMusliM convincing win out there, exploiting all the weaknesses that DauT has had when it comes to the base layout, the exposed resources, the fact that these gold mines were not defended well enough in late Castle Age, and just the fact that DauT made some small mistakes out there, looks away for a second, loses 5 Lancers, and those are small things, and it happens to every single person. DauT didn't see those Knights getting killed, but the impact of those were so massive because it was just such a big momentum swing. And in the end, DeMusliM, slightly cleaner gameplay, but you see the improvement from DauT, and as much as we have said this for Winchester and maybe even for Taro as well, the weekly events for these guys, these are more like a boot camp or like a train inside a live environment type of a thing, because their goal would be to make it through the last chance qualifiers. That's where they want to be ready. That's where they need to be ready. And such sets against the best players in the world help a lot for them to shape their gameplay and learn from their mistakes. This time around, DauT falls 2-0 to DeMusliM, but he has definitely shown signs of improvement and signs of high-quality gameplay, something that we could see him possibly even yield a sneaky spot in the Heidelberg LAN in AOE4, should he succeed in the coming week.